Everybody, hospitality friend Glenn here. Listen, we already know Actabl gives you the power to profit, but now they're giving you more actionable insights to drive that profitability. Do me a favor, take a moment and check out hoteldata.com. You're getting set for budget season, right? And this new benchmarking data is going to help compare your hotel's performance for the rest of 2025 and into 2026. Please check out hoteldata.com or the classic actable.com. Have a great day and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to No Vacancy. Anthony Melchiorri in the house, modeling for his new bobblehead coming out this holiday season. I'm Glenn Hausman, super thrilled to see you here today. Anthony, today is exciting because we're going to talk to somebody new again. We're on a roll with
Yeah.
some new folks.
By the way, I did have a bobblehead for a minute, so you can find them, and they're probably worth at least a penny or two. So yeah, it's great, and we don't really get to speak to Hyatt very much, so
No,
it's exciting.
we haven't, and I'm glad that we get to because there's only one other hotel company that's been more elusive to me, which I'm not going to say now because we're talking Hyatt today. So I'm excited, Anthony, because today we have Emily Wright. She's the VP and global brand leader for Hyatt's Classics and Essentials portfolio. And for you folks out there who don't know what that is, Classics include the brand like Hyatt, Grand Hyatt, Hyatt Regency, Centric, and that eccentric, the Essentials portfolio. It's got more of the casual vibe ones, the Hyatt Places, Hyatt Houses, Studios, and Caption by Hyatt. So let's bring in, and I'll let Suzanne do that, the incredible Emily Wright. Emily, how are
Hello. It's great to be with you both today. Great description of our classics and essentials brands. Well done by you.
Thank you. I've been working on that all morning. I'm glad that I was finally able to learn to read and was able to do that.
You said, Glenn, you said she's amazing. She hasn't proven herself yet, so why are you giving accolades?
That's true. I do tend to try to make guests feel comfortable, Anthony, and by setting the stage of amazingness, it's going to come out.
I try to make it feel uncomfortable.
I will say it's essential for us to do that, and Emily is a true classic. So, Emily, tell us a little bit about before we get into strategy and all that. One of the things I always wonder is how did you, being the person with that great title, become you? How do you didn't wake up one day and someone says, "Hey, we need you as VP of global brands." You know,
Absolutely. So it's been an amazing almost 20-year journey with Hyatt. So I started out in advertising on the advertising agency side, spent a few years there, came to Hyatt hoping for that client side job, grew up in advertising, marketing communications here at Hyatt. And then later in my career moved into brand management roles. And so it's been an awesome journey. And I like to say I've grown as the company's grown. So when I started in 2006, we had 4 core brands, which now sit in our classics
Yep.
portfolio. And as we think about the growth of Hyatt over time, that really afforded me growth over time. At the time we were small company just starting up our select service division. So Hyatt Place, Hyatt House were the new and exciting thing. And now I think about how when I really pivoted to brand management and started out on my first brand role in Hyatt Place, that really formed the foundation of the career I have today. So it's been an awesome journey. Thrilled to be in the role I am today, stewarding all of these brands. We've got a ton of brands, as you know. We've grown significantly over time. So it's just been an awesome career path. And
Yeah, you've grown a lot more calculated than the other brands, and a lot. So it's very interesting. And I was actually one of your brands yesterday. I was at a Hyatt Place at Medford. One of my clients just acquired it.
amazing. I love it. Well, from a Hyatt Place perspective, we're at over 420 hotels strong globally for that brand. It's like the little engine that could over the last 20 years, as I've grown with Hyatt. And as we think about that global growth for Hyatt Place, as well as Hyatt House, our other foundational essentials brand, with over 120 globally, it's just been awesome to see those brands take off over time.
and Hyatt has done a really really fabulous job of being ahead of all the trends. They were in extended stay, way ahead of others. Select service, you really rode a great ride with that. then starting to differentiate the portfolio into other segments over times, particularly with like collection type brands. You've done a very nice job at creating a well-rounded portfolio, including some places in Vegas that I may or may not like to visit every once in a while. But that's not your department, Emily. So tell us a little bit about what's going on. Let's just start with the classics portfolio, because they're classics and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, you said it well, and they're really the foundation of the company. So as the company was formed, our Grand Hyatt and Hyatt Regency brands are really core to Hyatt's history, and stewarding that legacy is a really special job. And I also work on Hyatt Centric, which has been one of our newer brands added to the classics portfolio, and that brand is on a rocket ship to growth as well. So the brand will grow by 50% by the end of 2028, which is awesome. And that is becoming more of a franchise brand for us. So that's been really awesome to see as well, that shift from the wholly managed hotels to looking at new franchisees that want to come in and work with us on Centric. So, from a classics perspective, lots going on across the portfolio. Hyatt Regency is still a brand that's entering new markets for us, despite all of the segments that we've added over time. If you think about Hyatt Regency, it was really first to market in all of the countries that we operate in around the world, and we're still seeing that today, which is super exciting.
So, Emily, I was just in Memphis and I had the tour of a major design company that's there that also did the Centric that
Yep.
was in town. And he said one of the best things that they do is take clients and potential clients to the rooftop bar
Yes.
just before sunset, and it creates an amazing atmosphere. And that's what I really like about brands like Hyatt Centric. You're really capturing the neighborhood that you're in and able to create something that's more. So I love
Man, I'm glad you shifted there because I thought you said they're going to bring him to the bar with the contract, get him drunk, and have him sign it. The one of the things I'm interested in is especially for we have a lot of young people and a lot of people in college studying hospitality, and we talk about brands. We have a lot of brands, and you have competition. So, what is the thought process like when you look at the new brand you're working on? What's the seed that starts that? Is that what owners are looking for? You see kind of a light in the crack of the door and say, "Oh, nobody's looking at that." Like, how does that start? Especially specifically this brand.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna pivot from Centric to actually Hyatt Studios because we
Go for it.
just launched
I wish I had a pivot sound
Studios
effect. Yeah.
and opened our first hotel, and I was there from the beginning. So that's been one of my proudest projects at Hyatt. And for Hyatt Studios, we actually were hearing from owners that they wanted the product. So just to ground you and the audience in that brand, it's upper mid scale, it's extended stay. It's a segment we've never operated in. So we have Hyatt House operating in upscale, Hyatt Place, of course, in upscale as well. We launched Hyatt Studios really to enter that upper mid-scale market, and we saw an opportunity both from a guest perspective and an owner's perspective. As we looked at where our guests were staying, when they were staying with us in secondary and tertiary markets, they were either trading down a segment, and or they were staying with a competitive set. So huge white space for us with that Hyatt Studios brand. As we look at growing our portfolio, again, you said it well, we grow thoughtfully. We enter new segments and new markets really intentionally. So as we built out the Hyatt Studios brand, we actually looked at owner feedback. We developed the brand in direct partnership with owners. We brought in a former owner, Dan Hansen, into the Hyatt organization to help lead the development of the brand. And when we all worked together on this project from a design and development and brand and operations perspective, really felt like the Hyatt Studios brand hit the mark in terms of really meeting that guest need and owner need as
And
well.
how do you test it? How do you test, okay, this is what we think. Now, will people want it? How do you test?
Spicy question.
Sure, yeah. We developed the model obviously from an ops perspective, but we also developed the design. So we have a design center, little known fact, out by O'Hare Airport. Next time you guys are in town, I can take you there for a tour. Have you ever been there? We would love to show you around.
No, I've seen some others, and I would love to see yours now that I know it's there, and we could walk around and do some cool video. That'd be awesome.
Very convenient to O'Hare. So when you're here visiting us, we can take you around. And so all of our essentials, nearly all of our essentials brands, the prototypes are available at that design center. And so when we were starting Hyatt Studios, we built out the model room. We had our king and devil queen rooms. We made sure that the design was really on point. We had housekeepers come through to make sure it was an efficient clean. We had folks come through to evaluate the product not only from a consumer perspective, but from an owner's lens as well. We brought groups of owners through, took their feedback, we iterated. We iterated several times actually before we opened the first hotel in Mobile, Alabama earlier this year.
And then you probably learn some stuff after that as well.
We did. We're still learning. It doesn't stop there, guys. As we think about it, it's a constant feedback loop, right? From guests and owners.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to say, and I say this with every new venture or project, you do it and you think it's perfect, then the customers tell you how they're actually going to use it. It happens with casinos, themes parks, attractions, hotels, absolutely everything out there.
And how are you investing in technology for right now and going forward? What's your focus?
Yeah, as we think about our limited service brands and as we think about evolving those brands over time, our consumer, they want Wi-Fi, they want it free, and they want it fast, right? So making sure some of those foundational elements are in guest room and reliable for the consumer, that is a 101 for us, right? And then as we look to the future, thinking about our mobile key products, so being able to check in on your phone, using your app, of course, downloading the World of Hyatt app, being able to access that digital key, and thinking about how we can drive, obviously, that loyalty through World of Hyatt, but also that easy access to room as well.
And are you seeing, another question. I've always wanted to ask this and I never have. When you have a loyalty member, do loyalty members typically have other loyalty programs in their wallet? Or are they because
World of Hyatt,
which I,
just World of Hyatt.
no, because Hyatt's very like I know people who are very religious about Hyatt, right? And they don't care about any other hotel. Whereas other hotel brands, they seem to be a little bit more, they go to other brands. Whereas Hyatt seems to really try to stay with Hyatt.
Yes.
Is there any statistic that backs that up, or is it just something?
Yeah, so as I think about our guest space and our World of Hyatt member base, so as we think about the growth over time, we are now at approximately 58 million members in our program, which is fantastic. Huge growth trajectory. In terms of that membership growth since about a year ago, Q2 of 2024, we've seen about 21% growth in that member base. And we attribute that to the new segments that we're serving. So we started off the podcast and we started thinking about, okay, we've grown in our independent collections, we've grown in our lifestyle, we've grown in our all-inclusive space, right? So more members coming into the program and more ways to stay with us. So we are going and growing strong. But yes, absolutely, our consumer certainly consumes other brands as well. And we want to make sure we keep them coming back with compelling benefits, as well as compelling guest experiences across all of the segments that we serve.
Yeah, Emily, I'm 100% agree with you. I made a note to myself. I think this goes back to the white space and that the whole notion of creating that virtuous circle by entering the new markets. Then you're giving the loyalty members more opportunities to stay with you instead of them, right? Which then enhances the overall experience, which makes them more likely to want to explore more and different destinations and all of that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
a smart approach that you're taking. And I've really seen that program. I know you just put out that number really grow in leaps and bounds, both in the numbers and in the general conversational zeitgeist that I see out there as well.
Yeah, agree. And as we think about secondary and tertiary markets, so I want to ground us in that. Again, huge white space for Hyatt Studios, as well as Hyatt Select, which is one of our other new brands that we've launched in upper mid scale. So catering more to that transient guest versus extended stay. So as we think about Hyatt Studios, Hyatt Select, really filling in that upper mid scale space for us, as well as filling in those secondary and tertiary markets.
Yeah. Sorry, Anthony. Go.
No, I was gonna say, when you're building these brands, what's the one thing in the last 2, 3 years. COVID happens, but since COVID, and then 2, 3 years outside of COVID, what have you noticed in guest behavior? Is there anything that's changed that was a little dramatic or surprising?
Yeah, so one of the things that we noticed, a couple kind of key insights that are more macro, and I'll hit it from an extended stay perspective. So as we think about our Hyatt House product that existed pre-pandemic, we certainly had the business traveler and families coming through those hotels. As we sort of got back to work and we saw that hybrid environment, a blended business and leisure environment, people having a bit more
Don't
flexibility.
say leisure. Don't say bleisure. Don't
I'm
do
not
it.
gonna say it. Nope, it's a blended business and leisure environment, Glenn.
Yeah, we banned that word from our podcast.
We're
I
banning
love how you
that
say
word on our side as well. So yes, so we certainly saw that hybrid work opportunity for folks as they return to work, as they return to travel, the opportunity to use the Hyatt House product, to use a suites product that has a kitchenette, that has a little bit more space to spread out, maybe a one bedroom if you want to have that separation of living and sleeping. So utilization and appreciation for the extended stay products, right? And new use cases. And then on the weekends, we started seeing families, again, you maybe wanted to cook for yourself instead of going out.
Yep.
And that trend has continued. And I would say that as our travelers have, returned to normalcy, have returned to getting on trains, planes, and automobiles, we've seen road trips increase this year, people wanting to be with family, people wanting to ensure that they're getting to relatives and those that they love. And that road trip kind of mentality lends itself well to our essentials brands, whether or not they're the destination. They might be a stop along the way. They might be where you're going to a family reunion, but we're definitely seeing kind of that, again, essentials brand being used differently, specifically within our extended stay segment in Hyatt House.
Hmm. That's fascinating. You mentioned the secondary and tertiary markets and all of that, and that is absolutely ripe for development. Give us a little insight into how maybe you're helping potential owners or looking to expand where that next area is going to be, how that kind of works. Yes.
And I think before you answer that, I think we gotta tell our audience, we have to keep in mind, those are harder areas to finance, typically.
Which are secondary and
Uh,
tertiary?
yeah, they're a little harder to finance. So you really have to be very, very sure of your pro forma because those areas aren't they're one of the reasons that has developed is because they are a little harder to finance. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, well, I'm seeing, like, for example, Emily, maybe you'll tell us about areas of huge population shift, the Southwest Dallas corridor outside Salt Lake City. You're seeing the cities physically expand and people need a place to stay. Let you go on from there because
Yeah, of course. Well, and I'll start with that point of departure. So I'll use Nashville as an example. Think about Nashville,
I knew Nashville was gonna come up.
right?
seriously, because like Emily, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like years ago, I'm like, enough already with Nashville. How much more Nashville? And then I'm like, oh,
And there's more.
it's growing so much. It makes sense, and it all clicks. Sorry, please go.
Yeah, so we have many brands now represented in that market, and it continues to grow. As we think about secondary and tertiary overall, ways that we're making it easy for our owners and operators, I'll highlight a couple of those. So, one is we have a philosophy. We're not the biggest, but we want to be the best, right? In every segment that we serve. And so, really taking a personal touch, business is personal to us, right? And so, every deal, we want to make sure we're doing it right and we're providing the right guidance. We have a couple mechanisms for that. So I mentioned the prototypes in the design center. From a design build perspective, we're making it easy because a lot of these brands are built on a prototype. We have a really strong design. We have a replicatable model that we're able to grow for Hyatt Place, Hyatt House, and then the two new brands, Hyatt Studios, Hyatt Select. So both from a new build and conversion perspective, providing that design guidance, also providing that operational guidance. So we have a franchise owner relations group that you may know about. We formed this group coming out of the pandemic. Again, franchising within Essentials is already prominent, but continues from here. And so, having that one-to-one relationship with owners and operators, and really ensuring that we're guiding them along the way in the pre-opening stage, through opening and beyond, and continuing that feedback loop. Those are ways that we really support, and I think that we stand out within the market.
And for those younger people out there, they may not realize that these brands have a lot of resources available to help you run your properties as well. And that's really kind of part of the whole agreement when you get into them. It's not just the brand on the door and the tapping into the loyalty program reservation system. It's a lot more as
You
well.
know, it's interesting you said that because when I went from independent hotels to when I developed for my management company a hotel in Times Square for a private owner, had a brand attached to it. I was like, I'm developing everything, and all of a sudden I'm getting books and I'm getting standards and I was like, oh my God, you just like, added 5 years to my life. It's significant. I mean, because when
Yeah.
you're just sitting there with a shovel in your hand trying to build an independent property, I mean, if you're not creative and if you don't know how the business works, you're done.
Yes.
Here, even if you don't know how the business runs, it's boom, here you go. Especially if you had
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you're highlighting this piece because other than brand visibility, clear brand standards and brand protection, stewarding our brands, very near and dear to my heart. So want to just jump in and say, from an essentials perspective, we have very clear standards and expectations for our owners and operators. And as we think about the health of the brand, so that's where it kind of comes full circle. We're only as good as our weakest hotel, right? And as we think about scaling our brands, keeping them strong through not only the resources and tools that we're providing, but then also making sure that we hold our owners and operators accountable for operating the brands.
Yeah. The first time I got an OS&E report and FF&E list, I was like, "Yes!" I was very excited. But, and it's funny because
I'm
back
so glad it's valuable. We think it's valuable, and I'm
of
great to
course
hear.
it's
I'm
valuable.
glad to hear your perspective.
Of course it's
It's great to
valuable.
hear.
But 20 years ago, there was room for brands to have crappy product, right? They tolerated it. Not Hyatt, but I'm just saying other brands, they tolerate it. And then there was a shift. There is no room anymore. I can't tell you the last time I stayed in a bad hotel. Like everybody, you've got to outdo yourself. Like you just said, it's like, right, you're only as happy as your least happy child, right? You're only as good as your least performing hotel
Yeah.
and or as your least happy guest. And but we didn't get that message. It took us 20 years, I think, as a as a hotel business to really get that. And now it's so competitive that if you're not paying attention, if you're not doing the things you're doing, right, you can't grow and you can't. And again, the guest is so much more sophisticated because there has been a period of time, a decade or two, of really good quality hotels everywhere.
Yeah, in every segment. And, there's really no tolerance for a non well oiled machine from a guest perspective.
No.
And our guests, as they've returned to travel, we continually monitor feedback through surveys and otherwise, keeping the pulse on, what are the hot buttons for them? How do we need to adapt and evolve? And we need to react quickly as well. So making sure that if there's a problem, it's addressed, whether it be with a specific property or if it's with the design of the brand, and something that we need to move forward with differently. We're definitely reacting to that, which I love.
And I think, like, if you look at Airbnb when it came into the market, everybody thought, like, the corporate business would go there. I would love to know what the percentage of corporate business goes to Airbnb. I can't imagine it's that big because to your point, the standards matter. When I go in a hotel, I don't have time to battle with internet. I don't have time to look for outlets. I don't have time to look for a bottle of water. I don't have time to go down a crazy elevator that may not work. Like we're all very busy and we all have
Yeah.
um we especially now because of technology, we love convenience.
Yes, we love convenience and we love seamlessness, right? So, Anthony,
Yes.
you were saying, I just like it to flow, right? Like, I like that experience to flow and knowing what to expect, being able to plug in your laptop and do those kind of 101 basic things that you need to do for work when you arrive at the hotel. And, replicating hotels that are consistent and then having an expectation around what that brand can offer. Again, I think that that's so important, near and dear to my heart. I hope we can continue to satisfy for you and your stays, as well as all of our consumers across segments as well.
All right, Emily, I got to ask you as we start to wind this down a little bit, what are you thinking about in the future? What are you excited about? What are you most passionate about? going forward right now.
Yeah, a lot of passion points. And you heard me talk a little bit about the Hyatt Studios journey. We just launched Hyatt Select to our owner community. We're hearing great feedback on that brand as well. I would say my headline for you is that I'm so excited about our growth in new segments. And I'm so excited about our essentials brands and where we're really going to take them 5, 10 years from now. And seeing us fill in the Hyatt portfolio in new and different destinations around the world with new and different brands that weren't even conceived 5 years ago. That for me makes me super excited about the next 20. I'm going to hit 20 years in March of next year, and can't wait to see, really where we go from there with our brand portfolio, and lots of white space, lots of opportunity. And I would say that's my headline for you in terms of what I'm most excited about.
I love it. Emily, the one thing I wish you did during this interview is have a little passion because I just haven't
You
seen.
didn't feel it? Well, I had to impress Anthony because he wasn't sure about me. He said it was amazing, so I had to bring it.
Unfortunately, I got to jump, but let me say something. The reason you get to the level she got to, when she's just talking, you just want to hang out with her, right? You just want to go to a barbecue and be her best friend.
Yep.
But then when she was talking about business, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a little scared right now. Right? So you could see where where her business comes in. She's very clear. I sometimes I ask questions that trip people up, and I don't mean to trip them up. I'm just curious. And like, your business, but you're also, that's why you're not spy business, because you're also a wonderful person to be around. But like, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of a table negotiating.
Thank you for that, Anthony, and I'm glad I was able to bring it and impress.
Yeah.
I'll give you a 10.10.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
All right. All right. So let's just wrap this up. Emily, thank you so much for being here. We'll put you in the back for now. Thank you. Anthony, thanks so much for being here. Guys, remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
see y'all later, including you.